Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you're seeing this. This is Kathryn Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and it is a very cold and blustery day here in North Texas. Please excuse me. We had a huge windstorm that brought in a winter front, and that blew everything and has triggered my allergies, and I'm uh, clear and clear. I don't know how my allergies are clear and I get through this and my throat feels great. I only know I'm happy, healthy, and whole in every way possible now, and I am fulfilled. Okay, so welcome to today's call. We're going to jump right into this. This is really a big topic in the one command world. And of course, this is bigger than what I can cover today, and it has to do with your greater capacity. And the lens that we are going to look at this through is first this: everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. Okay, now just stick with that for a moment. Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. Now, this is one of the places that people really get hung up. And if you've been a student of law of attraction or the Hermetic laws or New Thought, or, just, hey, you want to understand what your true power is in the world, and you've been a student of that, have you noticed that there'll maybe be some teachings and you go, yes, I know that that's right, that's true. And you play with it, you try some stuff, but then it hits a point where it stops working. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that a lot of times when there's something that you are actively working on, let's say in your work or your work or business or in your health, you notice that you hit a certain point and then you just stop, or there seems to be forces rising up that stop you, and you don't know what's going on because you're doing what you know to do, what you've been told to do, what it looks like works for other people. But what's the deal here? What's wrong? Well, what's happened is you have met your capacity, and you have met your capacity to um, create, have, be, or do based on everything that you decided from this moment to the past, through the past, all the way back. Because Joe Dispenza talks about this, that the mind really is a record of everything in the past. And so when we want to do something new, the mind goes, well, let's check up and see what did we do before? What did other people do before? And we try to mimic that. Now, I do believe that success leaves clues. Like every motivational speaker, anybody who's ever sold a course will tell you that success leaves clues. Absolutely. And there are models. But what we often do not get, and we're on this journey, is what was someone's interior model? What gave them the capacity to push past or to break through or to ignore the outside forces that are trying to stop them? What gave them the ability to stay focused? What gave them ability to speak forward? I mean, to speak up and speak out and show up in a powerful way. What gave them that? Well, it was their capacity. Now, that's something that can be trained in. You can condition yourself, but first you have to have awareness of what your capacity is. So I want to give you a little tip. If there's something that you've been wanting to create, attract, manifest, make happen in your life, and we talked about this too, that really we aren't trying to manifest something out of thin air. What's happened is our greater intelligence gave us a clue, gave us that message, right? That part of us that says, you can do this, this is yours. Or you gave you this really great idea and you said, and it lit you up, said, yes, let's go for it. The thing that stops you, that was your greater capacity. That was your greater capacity that said, of course you can do this. Why not? And if you looked around at evidence in the world through your ordinary beta mind, you might go, well, heck, they did it. If they did it, I can do it. what's so different about me, right? Well, what's different about you is your capacity. Okay. And when we do the 6 steps of the one command process, what happens is we lift ourselves up out of our ordinary way of thinking into a greater sphere of influence. And we do this through the different brain waves, particularly the theta brainwave. And that's why we do these 6 steps. This is why we focus on, learning how to meditate so that we can train our mind to stay focused, so that we can learn how to be present and aware of our thoughts and to let them go. This is why meditation is so important. The next step with the 6 steps of the one command is you're starting at your ordinary level of thinking. Then you are starting to do the 6 steps. The first thing we do if you follow the steps with me, or maybe in the book, or you've taken another class, when we allow ourselves to ground and we first start picturing, visualizing, imagine that we're like that tree, and then we connect into our heart, what's happening is the minute you close your eyes and you shift your focus, your brain waves start to lower. Now, as your brain waves lower, your conscious vibration begins to rise. So it's like the lower the brainwave, the higher the consciousness. Okay. So when we're speaking about capacity and your greater capacity, we're speaking more than a skill set. We're speaking actually about a greater level of consciousness in the quantum field, where we have access to everything that we want, need, or desire in order to fulfill our, what our vision is, what our purpose, our mission, right? So if let's say that you're thinking about money, and this is a big topic, and this is an easy one to talk about, okay? And it's a great metaphor. So, and speaking of metaphors, what's happening with you with money is usually happening with you in other spheres of influence in your life, particularly your relationships, how you take care of yourself, how you take care of others, your beliefs about worthiness and values, all of that. Okay. But let's think about money. Okay. Let's think about where you are now and the money that you want to create or have, or, hey, I want a big cash demonstration in my life. And you go, other people can do this. I want this. I've got the blueprint. I've got the great strategies. I studied about funnels, or I learned how to sell, right? You develop skills that that increased your emotional capacity, your mental capacity. But there's still a point that you stop. So if you were to take a sheet of paper and you were to draw one line on here's where I am now, and here's where the fulfillment of that vision is. I want $1 million in my bank account. I've got a client that is holding a crystal clear vision of $10 million in her retirement account. An interesting thing has to happen. She had to shift her identity to become that of being a person who's not a hard worker. Yeah, she's a hard worker. She's a good person. She's a great helper in the world. But she had to shift her identity from how she knew herself in the present moment that was based on everything from the past, right? And now she's holding this new vision. But then as we are drawing the horizontal line and we go, at what point do you keep getting stopped? At what point? At what point does your will and your motivation and self-discipline finally just peter out? And you could look at that with your weight. You could look at that with your relationships. You could still look at that at your levels of fulfillment, your ability to create structures. It doesn't matter, but we're just talking about money. So at what point do you stop? And that is your first clue about your capacity, and that there's something up that is blocking you from accessing your greater capacity. Okay. So how do we overcome that? Well, with the 6 steps of the one command, what we learn is one, how to be in awareness. Because here's what will happen. You'll want to do this. You start taking action, you work really hard on it, then you get stopped. Well, remember when you were excited and there was that big vision and that energy came in and you were like, yes, I'm doing this. I'm going for the gold. I'm making this happen, right? And you have this excitement. You commit to it. You throw yourself all in. You invest in it. And then that shit talk, pardon me, limiting beliefs, that negative self talk in your head starts. Your insecurity, the imposter syndrome shows up. And that is the clue. When you're accessing your own greater intelligence through the 6 steps, first you learn how to be aware. And then second, you're able to observe. So, and you're able to observe without judgment, which is really hard. And a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, I say, let's just connect into what happened and we're going to peel off the label of what you called that. Let's just look at it from just a strict, hey, we're CSI and we are examining the evidence here. Then you have the ability to shift into another level of consciousness. And when you say, well, okay, there I was operating at a lower level of consciousness, my doubt and my fear came in. When we do the one command, we're able to say, I don't know how to have confidence in myself. I don't know how, when you notice what it is that stops you, I don't know how I can authentically occupy this space. I don't know how I'm operating in my authority. I only know I am now. Then that ability to witness and observe and to be aware, that's when after we've made that step and we expand, we are starting to come into that new awareness, that new thought, that new possibility, and allow this that we desire to be fulfilled in a way that creates more good in its fulfillment, right? That automatically expands your capacity. So when we're thinking about levels of consciousness with this and we're going into theta, you're going into your infinite potential and your infinite capacity. And you're tapping in not only to your own capacity, you're connecting into all the capacity. Let me say that bigger. All the capacity. Wait. All the capacity. And not only yours. Have you ever had this experience where you get with this group of people and they've got this energy, this vibe, and this can-do attitude, and somehow something in you rises up and meets that? Well, when we're connecting into that greater capacity, that truth in us rises up to meet it. Yeah. And then you're able to access the information or what's helping you, but you're able to transform it instantly. And that's what we're talking about with the greater capacity. I had a client, I guess it was last year. She's been a long time client, but usually she would buy like the little mini packages and kind of like get over the hump, just kind of get over the hump. But she was a paraplegic, or she still is. She's a paraplegic, and she's been so for over 20 something years. She's a creative, an amazing writer. Her voice is, oh my gosh, just when you just say, please, here's my laundry, here's my grocery list. Read this to me, please. Right? Just read it. And so when I would talk to her, I would reflect back, like I can not only hear, I can feel there's something I know that's here for you. And then what would happen is, yeah, I feel like I could, but, and the limitations of her circumstances and her capacity to create a structure of support around her new vision was limited. Okay. Her capacity to be visible was starting to show up. And so we started doing work around that. And guess what happened? She started showing up in the places that she was able to online, in her community center, and she started getting invitations and she started getting voiceover work and other opportunities starting naturally arriving because she realized that no matter what her physical capacity was, she still had a spiritual and mental capacity. And she allowed all that energy that was not being expressed physically to express spiritually and through whatever gifts or skills that she had. So this is what we are talking about. We are going to connect in to that greater capacity. You ready to do a command? Let's go for it. This is such a big topic, too, that I'm going to be spending more time in this next week. And I've got a workshop coming up about it. And if that sounds good to you, be sure and say, that sounds good. And I'll message you the details, okay? Just type it right into the comments. So here's our basic command that we're starting with. I don't know how. I connect into my own greater capacity, and I am living, moving, and breathing and expressing from that capacity. I only know I am now, and I am fulfilled. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And you may mentally have your own commands that you want to add to that. But first, this week, focus on your awareness. Spend some time looking at where you get stopped, and then do commands around that. Okay, so we're going to do this rather quickly. Let's go ahead and just feel your connection to the earth and ground. Just take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And I just want to invite you to become aware of that earth energy's connection to you. And bring your attention to your heart as you're aligning to that greater capacity. So the way to think of that would be, or could be, I don't know how that capacity in me greets the greater capacity. I only know that I am meeting my own greater capacity now. Let there only be love between us. Yeah. And now I want to invite you to become aware of your connection to Source. That is very often represented as a pole of light. And the higher you go, the faster you go as you send your consciousness up that pole of light. Soon you find yourself at the velvety black void of space. And in the distance, you see that teeny pinprick of light. Head towards that, and you will break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Keep your eyes up. I don't know how. I am living, moving, and breathing in my own greater capacity. I don't know how. I am connecting to that greater capacity. I don't know how. I am allowing that greater capacity to be real in my life. I only know I am connected to my own greater capacity now, and I am fulfilled. And now just let that go. Let your eyes relax. Let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. And now just allow yourself to be in a moment that you're starting to receive a download from Source, a download about what is capacity, what is your greater capacity, how can your greater capacity serve you, and retrain your mind to become a tool for visioning that is able to look at the future, that is able to help you communicate with yourself in a new way. And so we're just going to start receiving all those skills, attributes, abilities. And as that new state of being, living, moving, breathing in your greater capacity arrives, let the old ways start to unwind, unwind, unwind. And allow these new ideas, this new state of being to align with you. And we're just going to start to rewind and integrate the beliefs, the thought patterns, the habits, the skills, the strategies, the resources. But mostly, just allow this new idea that you and your greater capacity can have a whole new conversation about your potential. And now just do a little internal check-in and just notice what you notice. Be aware of what's in your awareness. How were you being critical? How were you stopping yourself before? How will you be able to be loving and supportive and honest about what you really want? How can you show up in a more powerful way? How could you really live, move, and breathe in your greater capacity? What would be the evidence of that? Just tune in. And of course, we always say keep a journal of your commands, of your awe and awareness. I have the worksheet there. And of course, you're going to be getting some ideas. And it may be uncomfortable because you are creating a new habit of being in the fullness of your expression. So when you notice that you're uncomfortable or go, yeah, I want that, stop, take a moment and say, I don't know how I'm operating from my greater capacity here. That's a great tip. Pay attention. That's a writer downer, guys. I don't know how I'm operating from my greater capacity here and now. And use it as an affirmation. But just more importantly, go for it. Well, hello, David. It's always wonderful to see you on here. I just want to remind you that every Friday is Commanding Cashathon Day, and that's tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to be calling in that cash money from our greater capacity. We started out the week with setting a really powerful intention. So that intention is going to meet your capacity. And from that connection, that alignment, that's how we're going to call in that cash money for you, honey. So be sure. And if you haven't had a chance yet, be sure and get a reminder for the event, whatever channel you're watching this on. And of course, if I can be of any help or support in your journey in helping you connect to your own greater capacity, I would love to help you with that. I would love to be part of that for you. So I have my link in the description. Just click there and you can that sets up a free 30-minute call with me. And we just have a conversation about your situation, what you want to create, where you normally get stopped. And then we'll make a decision based on the conversation, what the next steps are. Okay, so it's free. Be sure and book it. And then I want to be sure and mention that I have on my website, kathrynperry.net, you can go to /join our free community. And there, when you join that, you can access all the call recordings, both video and audio. And I have a ton of bonuses and resources for you there. Okay, my friend, was this valuable? If so, be sure and give me a thumbs up and like, share, do all the magic with the buttons that you can. And until next time, this is Kathryn Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.